and welcome back to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show, where we meet up-and-coming indie authors and talk to them about their published books. Join us as we sit down with our next guest author. Hello, everyone. Today we have another episode of Author Roundup. My name is Emma. Welcome. With me today is Archway Publishing author Madeleine Littler. Madeleine is a champion of individualized approaches to learning and development, embodying a philosophy that everyone deserves access to the joys of reading and the empowerment of education. Madeleine has a strong love for reading, and her career working with children in special education, she developed a strong, deeply rooted passion for creating accessible and engaging literature for students of any reading level. Reading is an escape, and everyone deserves to be able to access these worlds no matter their skills. Hello, Madeleine. How are you today?
I am good. How are you, Emma?
I'm very good. Thank you. So your latest publication, Locked, was released this year in August, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, so Locked is the first in a series that I'm calling Flash Fiction. It's just taking a look at different kind of topics, different tropes in the literature world, and introducing readers who maybe have, more of a late high school, early adolescence, interest level, but their reading skills are below that of their peers. So yeah, just kind of a series of short stories that are all kind of have the same thread running through them, common topics, and making it look like, a novel, so that they're not standing out from their peers by looking like they're reading things that are below their level.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I was going to say the cover looks like a fiction novel. And so I read the description. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm sure there's a reason why. That's really cool that you thought about that.
It's so important when you're in high school to look like everybody else, right? Like we don't want to think that, but it's always been the case. And to be walking around with like a picture book would just feel, it would just add to, a whole layer of things that are going on with these.
Oh, yeah. So this is the first of a series, you said?
Yep.
And so how long are the short stories?
So each short story is meant to be able to be, read around a 4th, 5th, 6th grade level, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. So with a kind of a typical reading pace of student of that reading level, but with just higher interest material. So there's about 20 chapters per book, and then they all kind of have a similar theme. In this case, sort of a locked room history of some kind, or a component of something that doesn't seem like it should be possible given the physical restraints of the space.
And so was this theme something that you came up with, something that you realized in your career speaking to individuals that they can relate to this sort of metaphor?
Yeah, the reason that I really leaned into this topic to start out kind of this journey, this author journey that I'm officially on now, when you love to read, I grew up loving to read. I remember my parents had to set a time limit of, how long I could read into the night. And
I can relate to that.
And I still do. I still just can devour a book in a weekend, and I love it so much. But that's not something that's accessible to everybody. We understand different tropes that are in different, types of books, and even genres, knowing what genre of book you like. You find that out by reading a wide range of things. But if something that you're passionate about, it's hard to then build on that and understand other types of tropes, written material, genres, things like that. Yeah, I really wanted to start with not necessarily a genre, but I'm heading that way to be able to just give sort of that exposure to other kids who, reading's maybe not their strong suit, but it's fun and it's fun for everyone.
Congratulations on publishing. Is this your first book?
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. And so what inspired publishing the book? A little bit more about your background?
So my background, I'm currently a clinic manager at a pediatric clinic for kids who have developmental delays. And emotional and behavioral difficulties as well. So my background is working with students with autism, doing in-home therapy, center-based therapy, kind of community-based therapy, things like that. So really empowering families with, kids who just learn differently. Their brains, they just work different than what the school system is set up for. So helping parents both understand what's available to ask for, in addition to helping teachers, other educators understand the unique ways that kids like this might learn. So yeah, that background really kind of started it. And then I worked for a while, it's called a psychometrist. I would work with a psychologist as sort of the nurse version in those types of appointments, where we were doing evaluations for things like learning disabilities, ADHD, depression, anxiety, autism specifically, and things like that. So one of the things that we saw is when we have this discrepancy between our like cognitive level, but our reading level, when there's a difference there, it can be really hard to find things that are interesting for our kids. So, we're right where we should be cognitively. We're at an average IQ, but our reading scores are kind of fallen below the line. Those were the kids where parents are like, I want to get them something. I want to find something for them that's interesting, that's not just like picture books or, graphic novels are amazing, but they're not for everybody. So how do we like build upon that, but also not embarrass them?
Like parents, do they like discover that their kids might have difficulty reading? How does it usually go as far as like them reaching out for help?
It usually kind of comes up, usually organically, kind of in the school setting. So, either in like conferences or other standardized testing, families might be told by the teacher that like, hey, it seems like your student is, not quite understanding things or not quite keeping up, or standardized test scores might be below where we would expect them to be for their age level. And so once we see kind of that gap start to build, it can be something that, teachers bring as a concern to parents, or even vice versa. We're having these really awful meltdowns at home around homework. We're just crying and crying because we're so frustrated. What's going on here? And then either, the school can get involved at that point, or they would come to a center like ours to be able to get an evaluation, to just take a look and see kind of what is the piece that we can kind of target. Is it an anxiety about that, particular topic, or just reading in general? Are we having trouble with like phonological processing, auditory processing, things like that? So that's all nitty gritty details of the evaluations that we do, but it all kind of comes out to the same outcome of we're struggling with reading. We're struggling with some component of reading, and it's embarrassing for kids. It's hard when you have to know how to read to learn, and that kind of takes place right around, I would say, like third, fourth grade. So that's kind of the age of a lot of these kids that we see start to trickle in, or as soon as their reading reaches that level, they're maybe a little bit older, we really start to see that discrepancy. So that's also kind of why the language in these books is really targeted to that fourth, fifth, sixth grade reading.
And since your book has been published, have you used it for any working with your kids?
Not yet. No.
How long did it take you to write and complete the book?
I've been writing since I was in grade school. That was always, when you would do projects of what do you want to be when you grow up? I always wanted to be an author. I knew that, that was important to me, but really doing some like reflecting on why I wanted to be an author was because I love reading. And so bringing people into that world who maybe wouldn't have that opportunity or just that exposure otherwise was something that was really important to me. So this book I've been, I published in August. I kind of started my publishing journey earlier this year, kind of springtime. I just have files and files and files of things that I've written. And so this was one that it's really come together over time. And I'm just really excited and really proud of where it's landed.
So what was your writing experience like? Did you have fun, like when it actually came down to like writing and putting together a manuscript? What was your process like, and what was your experience like?
I'm a big planner. I love a good like outline and everything.
Yeah.
It really helps to have these like, common threads through the stories,
Mhm.
and then to just sort of, imagine and build upon experiences and things that maybe I'm struggling with or people around me are struggling with, and starting to
Mhm.
just articulate some of those things through stories.
Yeah.
Been a lot of fun. So trying to weave into just different, it's these locked room mysteries, but they're also, some of them are a little bit more horror, some are a little bit more fantasy. So it's kind of fun to play around with these topics too, and to just
Mhm.
experiment with my own writing, and yeah, just be able to build some really neat stories in really short, succinct, compact packages.
Mhm. And what was you talked about like the theme and just now about like the themes of the themes maybe, but what was your favorite part or most fun to write?
There's that's kind of about like a little girl who finds a secret room in a new house that she has recently moved
Oh,
into with
cool.
her family, and that one's a little bit magical, which
Mhm.
I don't know, it just really speaks to the like my childhood self. I kind of wrote it for sixth grade Madeline.
Mhm.
That would have been something that I would have just absolutely like loved to have read at that age.
What was the most difficult part of your writing process? Did you get maybe like writer's block or anything like that?
I wouldn't say writer's block. I would almost say the opposite of kind of reining myself in and really
No.
focusing on kind of the target audience that I'm
Yeah.
writing for, and giving myself that challenge. I mean, I could write and write and create all day long. I just always have stories that I feel like I could
Yeah.
explore, that are just rolling around in my head. So getting a lot of those
You
out
gotta
on
write them
paper.
down. You have
Yeah.
to, or I just like put like, write in my phone, like have to remember this for next time.
Yep, exactly.
Um, well, that's great that it's a series then, because you could just keep on rolling and just,
Yeah.
are you working on something right now? Are you working on the second book?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I actually have two more that are finished and are kind of in
Oh,
the queue
wow.
here, and then
That's awesome.
several others that I have. They're at various stages of completion. So.
Hmm. That's awesome. Have you gotten any feedback from your book? Have you seen any nice reviews or from family, friends?
Yeah, family and friends, kind of people in my professional life as well, being able to share it in that capacity has been really exciting.
Yeah.
We've talked about as professionals, that it's just something that's hard to find. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, high interest books for kids who have below average reading.
Hmm.
So just being able to, yeah, share it and get feedback from my colleagues has been really impactful too.
Did they know that you were going to write a book, or did they know that you always wanted to write a book, or was it like a surprise?
It was a surprise. It was
Yeah.
something that, I didn't, it wasn't a secret that I like to
Yeah.
write, but it wasn't something that I would just kind of broadcast day to day, that this is, something that happens outside of my work hours.
What advice would you give to someone that is very passionate about a topic like you are and someone that wants to write a book, self-publish a book?
Really, to just do it. It's a process, and it's scary and it's exciting and it's all of the things. And I really had a lot of fun with this journey, and just being able to, to do the thing that I always wanted to do. That jump from like, ooh, I want to be this when I grow up, is
Yeah.
it's really cool to then actually get to say, I am an author. I
Yeah.
I did that. I wrote the book. I took all the steps after writing the book to actually
Yeah.
turn it into a book. Yeah. And, if you're passionate about it, it just feels natural, and it feels more
Right.
scary because you have a little bit more invested in it.
Hmm.
It's your emotions and your ego and your heart and soul are in it, and it's worth it.
What was it like receiving your published book for the first time and looking at it for the first time?
It, I cried.
Yeah.
It felt really emotional. Yeah, I one of the things, if somebody said describe yourself in 3 words, I think reader would always be something that's up.
Mhm.
And now I get to say author too, and that's just really, really special.
Do you have any personal or professional goals for the rest of this year? I know you mentioned that you finished with two more books. Do
Mhm.
you have anything else in the pipeline?
Just really, really that kind of getting those books pushed out as well and starting to build up this collection that can really feel like a safe world for kids who haven't felt like they can, crack open a book the same way that their peers can. So building up that world and making it a really cool, extensive library.
How did you discover Archway Publishing and what was your publishing experience like?
Yeah, I was really I knew I wanted to self-publish
Hmm.
because of the width of books that I'm going to be, working on here. So
Yeah,
that was something that was important to me, was to keep that kind of in a little bit, a little bit more
yeah.
in my own court. But then, to be able to help with some of the logistics and just the things that you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know going into a process like this. And
Hmm.
so using Archway as kind of that hybrid model to have somebody,
Hmm.
several different people along the way, point people who kind of help with that process. It just really was the best of both worlds for my situation. So I was able to just kind of stumble across it in my research. And, it was one of those things where reading through, I was like, yep, I found it. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I was picturing in my mind that I needed, and it exists. So that was very cool.
What was your editing process like? Having the options of so many editing services is also great as well for most authors.
Yeah, absolutely. And this book in particular, I selected as the first one for publishing because it was more polished than a lot of the other work.
Okay.
I had kind of gone back and gone through it and really been very intentional. I mean, almost
Mhm.
like line by line, being
Wow. Yeah.
intentional with every single line, that it was necessary in pushing my plot forward and building worlds that, give that like immersive experience for the readers.
How long did it take to publish your book?
All said and done, let's see, I started in about April and then it was published by August. I'm working with kind of a marketing consulting team through Archway now, and I'm excited to kind of start to coordinate with them, learn a little bit about the world of marketing. Again,
Mhm.
it really feels like the best of both worlds of being able to do it myself, but I have kind of
Having
someone.
people to rely on. Yeah. Expertise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
What about the design aspect of your book? Because we talked about your cover a little bit. Did you have something specific in mind?
I did. I
Okay.
came in with a very specific vision, which in this case was really, really helpful because
Mhm.
I could just kind of look through all of my like options and things and say, yeah, yep, this is exactly what I want. And
Mhm.
I've done a lot of research on font and spacing and kind of the positioning of different like text components on a page. And so that was something too that I just had a lot of like specific knowledge about and vision for. So it really it was like conducting a song, conducting an
Mhm.
orchestra. Like I know exactly what's going to happen. I just need it to
Yeah.
come together
Yeah.
in a way that I can't actually do with my own hands.
Yeah.
It was great to have that very specific vision.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention today?
Really excited, yeah, for people to discover my work.
Well, thank you, Madeline, for all of your work. And it was great talking with you today. And you can purchase Madeline's book, Locked, at the Archway Publishing website and also Amazon and Barnes& and Noble. As always, it was nice to chat with you, and I will see you next time. Bye.